Okay, so I wanted to go ahead and introduce to you week 10. So if you scroll down here to March 13th through March the 19th, that's week 10. And this week we're going to be studying our large numbers and possessive adjectives. And if you read the little blurb here, it says you need to study pages 82 to 95 in your text. After completing this week's activities, you should be able to count up to 1 billion and talk about things that belong to you and to other people using possessive adjectives. You should be able to exchange information about classes and talk about how you and others feel. All assignments for this week are due by the end of the day, March the 16th, 2017, and this week's assignments address student learning outcomes 1, 2, and 3, which you can find in your syllabus. So after you've the first thing you want to do is the same thing from every week, is you start with your instructor made video. So open these up. Okay, and you'll see a video on a couple videos on possessive adjectives, and one on large numbers, and some on expressions with tenere and vocabulary on page 91. So you'll want to watch all of these videos, and then when you're done, go back out to the site, click on the class participation form right here, and open up the thread, and then post any questions or any concerns about the material that you watched in the videos. Okay, when you're done, go back out here. You're going to have an oral dialogue, and then you're also going to have a test on the second half of chapter 2, and then you have assignment 12. So you actually have a lot of work, and the reason being is I don't think I gave you anything for spring break, so we're kind of making up for taking a week off. When you're dealing with your oral dialogue, the biggest thing that you need to do is make sure that you turn off your pop-up blockers. And I have links out here that would explain to you, you want to do your browser tune-up, turn off your pop-up blocker, make sure your microphone is set up. Most of you do not have to make sure your microphone is set up. Just turning off the pop-up blockers would be sufficient. And in fact, if you go under course announcements, I think I have even more current ones. Problems with orals, tests, etc. If you click on this, here is, if you've experienced trouble with assignments, see the following. This tells you how to turn off pop-up blockers. So there are various videos that tell you how to turn off your pop-up blockers depending on whether you are in using a Mac or not. And then the video out to the side also talks to you about your browser tune-up. Okay, so then in order to do all of these assignments, what you're going to want to do is go into My Language Labs. The rest of these are in My Language Labs, so you click on My Language Labs. Okay, so once you're in My Language Labs, you'll click on the 16th, March the 16th, and your assignment should pop up. Notice that you have some vocabulary tutorials and some grammar tutorials and extra practice, but if you click back out to My Language Labs, you'll see that none of those are assigned, so that's extra work for you to complete, not something that you are required to complete. Just make sure that you complete the assignments that are in My Language Labs. There you can see your tests and your oral dialogue, which I'll open up in a minute. But here you see 3.7, 3.8, 3.11, 3.12, 3.18, 3.19, 3.25, 3.26, 3.28, which are all assignments that you were given in My Language Lab. So you would want to complete each of those. Then, like I said, we also have an oral dialogue. I'm going to open that one up. You only have one attempt at this, so make sure that your browser tune-up has been done, that your pop-ups have been turned off so that you're ready to open this, and that you aren't going to run into trouble. Okay. This one just asks you, you can see there's various questions listed, and then you would just record your answer to those questions. So, ¿qué estudias en la universidad? Estudio español.
Estudio español.
So you can double check that something recorded. If you don't see something recording, then you've got a problem with this particular activity. So answer all those questions, and then when you're done, hit finish and submit for grading. Okay, then we also have a test on, okay, we also have a test right here. So I'm going to open this one. And again, you only have one attempt, so don't open it until you're ready. Oops. Okay, let me just make sure it's still recording. Okay. So this is your test. So complete each of the following sentences with the logical verb from the word bank. Use the infinitive verb forms and be sure to use each verb only once. So you're not conjugating these verbs. It tells you to use the infinitive. This is the infinitive form. So you read these sentences and decide which verb would best complete each sentence. When you're done, you go on to the next page. Más verbos, complete the following sentences with one of the verbs from the word bank. Be sure to make the verb agree in person and number with the subject. So this time you're picking the verb and you are conjugating. So on page 1, not conjugating. On page 2, conjugating. So pick the verb, plug it, pick the verb that best completes each sentence, and then make the spelling match your subject. If it's a statement, your subject will come before the blank. And if it's a question, you'll find your subject after the blank. Okay, here completamos las frases. Choose the verb that best completes each sentence. So here you're just picking. You read the sentence and you pick which of those two verbs would best complete the sentence. Then you go to the next page, los deberes. Do you know the difference between tener and tener que? Complete the following sentences with the correct form of tener or tener que. So in some of the blanks you'll write tener, in others you'll write tener que, but you also have to conjugate your tener. Do not forget to do that or you will get it wrong. So again, your subject in a statement will come before the blank and after it in a question. Otros verbos. Complete the following sentences with the correct form of the verbs in the word bank. Be sure to make the verb agree in person and number with the subject and use each verb only once. So you'll pick the words from this word bank that would best complete the sentences below, and this time you are conjugating, so you will not use the verb in this form. You'll have to change it to match the subject. However, sometimes it may not need to change, so just be aware of that. Un amigo ayuda, an international student from Spain, is helping you review for your final exam in Spanish class. He wrote some sentences in Spanish but left out important vocabulary words. Complete each sentence with the correct words from the list. So here's your vocabulary words. You read through these sentences and decide which word best completes the sentence. And then lastly, Eduardo Cruz. While waiting to speak to your advisor, you pick up the most recent issues of Vanidades, a Spanish language magazine. You have just enough time to read the following short article. Check your comprehension by indicating whether the statements that follow it are cierto or falso. If the information is not given, select no se menciona. So just read this paragraph and then decide if the statements below are true, false, or not mentioned. And that's all you have to do for your test.